All right, welcome to Touchdown Talks. I'm Spencer Taylor. This is going to be my reaction to my first ever NFL game that I got to attend. This was the Packers Bears in Chicago just about a week ago. As a matter of fact, time you're watching this, the day that this comes out, anyways, this is exactly a week since the game happened. I wanted to get this video out sooner. Just took me some time to decide what exactly I wanted to say about all of it. Partially because of the loss. Also been busy this week, but nonetheless, before I proceed into the reaction, please feel free to hit subscribe, like the video. Definitely really helps me out. Also hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss out on any other NFL content going throughout the season and into the off season. I'm your guy. I'll cover anything you'd like me to, but throughout the season, cover any games and any of the key things that there is to discuss. But for this reaction, this was, as I said, this is my first ever NFL game that I got to attend in person. I've never been to an NFL game before this. I've been an NFL fan pretty much all my life and a Bears fan at this point in my 25, almost 26 years of living. Been a football fan pretty much a majority of my life at this point. And yeah, the whole time I've been a Bears fan. But my first time ever actually attending a game, and this is my first time ever being in Chicago. So, pretty funny. I'm a Bears fan. I've never been to Chicago, but nonetheless, finally got to make the trip. Now, as far as Chicago in general, really enjoyed the city. A lot of nice people there. I really liked how nice people were. Was honestly pretty impressed with that. In a big city, a part of the country I've never been to really. Chicago, very nice people. And yeah, I really appreciated that. Even Packer fans that I was meeting throughout the weekend, before, during, and after the game, very, very nice people there. Can't say that enough. The city itself, great food city. Love Chicago for the food, and then also the architecture. Chicago just really is a very, very fun city to go learn about the history of and just look at the architecture. Some very, very beautiful and very interesting things to see of the architecture that's happened there over the decades and centuries that Chicago has been a major city. But now to get into my reaction of the game and just my experiences of it. It was very fun. Started out going. This was a noon kickoff in the Central Time Zone. Got to the game. Started off just by really just kind of exploring, kind of figuring things out, where things were. It was interesting to finally see Soldier Field is the oldest operating NFL stadium by far. The current version of Soldier Field is only about 21 years old, I believe now. The last major renovation the Bears did to it, I believe, was in 2003. Before that, it looked a lot different, and you can when you're there at the stadium, you can pretty easily tell if you know that the stadium had been renovated. And even if you hadn't, you probably would notice, this is kind of an interesting design. Basically, what they did in 2003 when they renovated the stadium, they basically took the old Soldier Field, which had been there for decades, again, at this point, almost a century. That stadium's been up. I believe that stadium was built after World War I or World War II. My apologies. My Bears history is, getting a little bit foggy around the stadium at the moment about the specific dates, but either way, the stadium's very old, at least the main structure that's been there. Basically, what the Bears organization did back in 2003 was, rather than building a whole new stadium, they took the old stadium and to expand the seating and modernize the stadium as much as they could. They basically, they took away most of the stands that had been there, and then they basically, I've heard this said before by Bears fans, some that don't necessarily love the design of Soldier Field. Soldier Field almost feels like you took this monumental stadium or coliseum that's, kind of old, and you put a flying saucer inside of it. It kind of looks like that from the outside as well. You've got outside, you've got some sort of the, Greco-Roman like columns, that kind of style of architecture going around the building and on the side entrances and stuff. Very cool, very old, classical looking style around the edges of the original version of the stadium. But then you have sort of this metal bowl coming out of it that's sticking out from the middle. And it does look pretty interesting from the outside. From the inside of the stadium, when you're in the seats, you don't really even see too much of the old structure. But when you're not in the stands, when you're going around the concourses, there's some spots where it's pretty obvious. You can see, you've kind of got like space, you got the stands kind of going above you, and then on the outside, and on the outsides of the stadium, you've kind of got the original wall, and then if you go up in certain areas of the concourse higher up, you can even see some of the old remaining stands from the original stadium that are obviously blocked off, unused now. But so yeah, pretty interesting as far as the stadium goes. The food, obviously, it's an NFL game, any professional sports game or college game you go to. Concessions are what they are. Not the cheapest food, but I mean, honestly, for an NFL game in a big city, I wasn't like insanely blown away by how expensive things were. Food I got there, I'll have a picture of it, but it had the Odunze dog, named after Rome Odunze, the Bears rookie wide receiver, who had a really good game, by the way. It's a kind of a Chicago-style hot dog. Some jalapenos. I believe there was bacon bits on there. Some sort of like nacho cheese, like queso type stuff, or cheese whiz type thing on there. Jalapenos. Some other peppers, I believe, as well. It was really good. Bit on the spicy side, but I like that type of thing. So that was a really great way to start off the day. And then really going into the game, it was a great atmosphere. The start of the game, first drive of it. The Packers drove the length of the field, got a touchdown at the start of the game, and at first, for a second there, it felt like, oh no, is this going to be one of those, is this shaping up to be a game where the Bears are the Packers going to dominate here? You got to remember, coming into the week, Bears had lost 3 straight, had just fired their offensive coordinator. So obviously it was hard to know what the offense was going to look like, what the team was going to look like. There had been tons of, sort of negative rumors coming out of the Bears locker room about vibes around Caleb Williams, things like that. DJ Moore had obviously not been happy in previous weeks. Obviously no Bears fan or nobody in the organization had been happy the last few weeks, really starting with the Hail Mary loss against the Commanders, and it kind of snowballed from there for a couple weeks. But coming into this game, again, the Packers score on their first drive, but then the Bears get the ball back, and they get 34 yards on 8 plays. Not a great drive, but showed a little sign of life and get a field goal. So, still down, but 7-3, respectable score. And really throughout the rest of the game, both teams went blow for blow, and as a Bears fan, that certainly was encouraging, being that the line before this game had been at about 6.5, I believe is where it ended up at kickoff. Maybe it was a little lower by kickoff, but it had gone anywhere from between 6.5 to 5 during the week leading up to the Bears game. So certainly, most people expected this game could get out of hand. I mean, 6.5 isn't the biggest, but it's a pretty decent sized spread for an NFL game. So yeah, as a Bears fan, seeing that the game was staying close throughout it certainly was a good feeling, and really the mood, the vibe of the game as a Bears fan in that stadium really just kind of progressively started going up for the rest of the game up until the final play. So again, after the Bears field goal, both teams exchange punts. Packers a pretty short drive, 5 yards, 18 or 5 plays, 18 yards. Bears 10 plays, 51 yards, and that drive for the Bears, taking up 7 minutes, actually ended up finishing the first quarter there. And then to start off the second quarter, the Packers get the ball back. They drive pretty much the length of the field, go 61 yards on 12 plays, and they get right up to the end zone, and Jordan Love throws the first and only pick that occurred in the game. And really that interception felt like the momentum turner for the Bears. And for the most part, from that point, the Bears did lead in the game. So in immediate response to the interception, Bears offense comes alive. 13 plays, 76 yards. They go the length of the field.
Let's go, Bears! Let's go! Let's go! So close. Right at the line.
He gets the same feed as referee Bill Devin.
That's my fault. By the end of this,
After the pledge on the field stands.
Get a Roschon Johnson rushing touchdown in there, go up 10-7, and then that is how the first half ends. And that's when we went into the halftime celebration, which was honestly half of the fun of this game. Again, maybe not half the fun, but it was one of the things that made it really special, and that I'm really grateful that I was able to be there and that this was the game that I chose. Beforehand, hadn't realized this is what was going on, but for the game, the Bears honored Devin Hester, Hall of Fame kick returner and punt returner for the Bears. If you're not familiar with him, just look him up. Tons of highlights. Devin Hester, really good returner, wide receiver, and I was fortunate enough to watch him during his career, and especially towards the later half of his career with the Bears, but was very electric to watch. He certainly was one of the best returners you'll have ever seen in football history. But yeah, so it was really cool. Bears honored him at halftime, and he received his Hall of Fame ring. So I'm going to have a video of all that happening.
Good afternoon, Bears fans. It's been quite the year for a man, his family, his friends, his teammates, his coaches, a man that thrilled us in a way we will never forget. A man that stood on this field, worked up this rabid fan base into a frenzy, and ran wild doing, dare I say, fellas, ridiculous things with the football in his hands. Devin Hester returned an NFL record 14 punts for a touchdown, 5 kickoffs for a touchdown, a kick 6, 108-yard missed field goal for a touchdown, a combined 20 return touchdowns, an NFL record that will never be broken. Hall of Famer, 3-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, a member of the All-NBA team for the 2000s and 2010s, a member of the NFL's top 100 players of all time, number 20 on the Bears all-time 100. We will never forget your immediate impact as a rookie on the 06 Bears Super Bowl team. Your scintillating returns, your speed, your style, your substance, your love of these fans and this city. And we will never, ever, ever, ever forget the opening kickoff in Miami on February 4th, 2007. Something no one had done before or since. An immortal touchdown by an immortalized legend. Pro Football Hall of Fame president. Not give Devin his Hall of Fame ring. Devin.
Viva la América.
This man is Devin Hester. Somebody to say you were always will be, and simply this, Devin Hester, you are ridiculous.
Thank God for allowing me to be here today and what He's done in my life. I want to thank the organization, the Cassidy family, my teammates, because at the end of the day, none of this would be possible without you guys. But second of all, I want to salute the best fucking fans. Win, lose, rain, sleep, and snow. You guys showed up and you packed out the house. Without you guys and all the cheering that you did, none of this would be possible. I had one more saying, and it's the God honest truth. Whenever I ran the kickoff or print back, I went there. I never got an opportunity to see how loud you really guys were. So we take this moment to give me 5 seconds and let me really reminisce on how loud you guys really were. 1, 2, 3. Appreciate to be a part of this city of Chicago. And I love you so much. Thank you all. And let's go, baby. Let's go.
It was a pretty fun time. And so then coming off that halftime break, going into the second half, Bears get the ball back. They go 10 plays, 61 yards, get a field goal. That puts them up 13-7. So not a full 7, but up by 6. So, Packers at least need a touchdown to get the lead. Field goal isn't going to give them any kind of lead. Packers get the ball back. They go down the length of the field and get a touchdown. So that gives the Packers the lead again, but only 14-13. So it still feels like a close game. And even with that touchdown, still felt like the Bears had the momentum. And sure enough, coming back out on offense, really for the first time in a long time, the Bears went 3 drives in a row positive. You'll remember that last drive before the half, as I said, that one was their first touchdown of the game. Then coming out of half, they had the drive that ended in a field goal, making it 13-7. Then after the Packers touchdown, taking the lead at 14-13, Bears come back out, go 11 plays, 78 yards, take up 6 minutes, and they get a touchdown on a huge run by DeAndre Swift that was set up by my fellow SCU T-Bird alum, Braxton Jones. Braxton had a huge pancake block that set up DeAndre Swift for the touchdown. The Bears try to go for a 2-point conversion to make it a full 7-point lead. They fell on that 2-point conversion. And then in response, the Packers go 7 plays, 75 yards, but they get stopped on 4th and short. The Bears defense has a really huge stand there, gets the turnover on downs. The Bears offense comes back out, 12 plays, only 44 yards. This was a less efficient drive for them, but what it did do is it set up a punt, and they pinned the Packers back at their own 22. And at this point, with 4:17 left to go in the game, Packers only had 1 timeout left at this point, or might have been more. But, Packers only had 1 timeout left at this point, and so it felt like, this is the last chance for the Packers. Unfortunately for the Bears, the drive went as good as it could have for the Packers. In 4 plays, they go the length of the field, score a touchdown. 2 of those plays, monsters, with the main one being on 2nd and 6 from the 26. Jordan Love throws a deep pass to Christian Watson that goes for 60 yards. Part of it was due to a Bears DB unfortunately tripping, and that's setting it up for an open completion, and just an unfortunate unlucky moment there for the Bears on that play. And then Jordan Love scrambles, gets 13 yards up to the 1 yard line, and then on the next play, 1st and goal from the 1, he keeps the ball again, gets a touchdown. That puts the Packers up 20-19, and then the Packers try a 2-point conversion to try to make it a 3-point game. They also fail on their 2-point attempt, and so then the Bears get the ball back with just under 3 minutes left to go. They have a timeout left in their pocket, and they've got the 2-minute warning, and so this is where it's like, okay, let's see, can Caleb drive the length of the field and lead a game-winning drive? And again, they don't even have to go the length of the field. They just got to get into field goal range. The drive did not start out well. First 2 plays, 1 yard sack, and then a 8-yard sack. So didn't look too good. So then on 3rd and 19, coming out of the 2-minute warning, Caleb Williams finds Rome Odunze for a 16-yard completion. That sets up a 4th and 3 from the Chicago 37. So another gotta-have-it play, very tense moment. And Caleb Williams again finds Rome Odunze, this time for a 21-yard completion to the Green Bay 42. Bears really moving with some momentum, really moving at will. Next play, Caleb makes another good pass to Keenan Allen for 12 yards, getting them to the Green Bay 30. And now this is the part of the game where there's a little bit discussion. Should the Bears have been more aggressive? I would argue to complain about that too much might be just simply arguing based off of the result. Because obviously if the Bears make the field goal at the end of the game, they win it. I don't think this would be much of a discussion had the Bears won. I don't think people would have been saying, oh, even though they won, they should have been more aggressive here. I maybe that would have got brought up, but I don't think it would have been as much of a discussion, of course. And so to some extent, I think this is just simply questioning the result. But it is fair because the Bears get down to the Green Bay 30. Packers call their final timeout with 35 seconds left to go. And the Bears have a timeout of their own. So, arguably, what the Bears could have done is tried to be at least a little bit more aggressive. Of course, you want to be careful. But, either a quick pass out to the sideline to get, maybe a first down, to cut the field goal distance in half, from where the Bears are at from the 30, that would have been a 47-yard field goal. So obviously you want to make it closer. They could have tried a quick out, get 10 yards, get 15 yards, something like that to cut the lead, to cut the distance in half, or even try a pass to the end zone. Obviously, for Caleb, if you were going to try that, you'd want to have it out of your hands pretty quick, or make sure it's only catchable by your receiver, and don't risk a turnover. Obviously, we didn't want that. So, again, you had to be very careful there, but maybe the Bears could have been more aggressive, but I don't want to question it too much. As you'll see from the video here in just a second, from people's reactions in the stands, most of us were pretty happy with the Bears, just playing it safe.
Run the ball. Nice. Run down the clock. Call the timeout. Yes, sir. What? No. You run it down to like 3 seconds. Oh. They're just going to stay like this until they call it. Timeout. Let's go!
letting the time drain out, which is what they did. Then with 3 seconds left, Matty Eberflus calls the timeout. Bears form up, go for the field goal.
Come on, Santos.
And unfortunately, the kick is blocked. Yeah, very unfortunate. I think, in a way, kind of fortunate, not so much. I feel like where I was at got a pretty good angle of the kick and the miss from the TV angles that I saw. Those angles, it almost seemed harder to see like the exact, how far the ball got before it bounced and things like that. But yeah, it just unfortunate turn of events. Really the Packers, in a way you could say, won by a finger. I think it was pretty much just a finger or part of the hand that ended up tipping it. But of course that's enough. And so the ball falls short of the goalposts. And the Packers had claimed after the game that they had seen something on tape. They had seen that Santos had some low flying kicks, and so they had expected to maybe have a chance if they were able to break through the protection. They were expecting to be able to get a chance to block a field goal in the game, and they were able to do so. So, yeah, unfortunately, and that's the other thing to question on the field goal. What do you blame? Do you blame the low trajectory of the kick? Was it too low? Or was it on the blocking? I'd say it's a little bit of both. There's also a little bit of questions as to whether or not there should have been a penalty on the Packers because the center or the long snapper on that play is supposed to be protected. And just on the previous week, I believe it was against the Cardinals, the Bears had been called on a penalty against them when they had tried to block a field goal. And it was a very similar looking, outcome and play. Got called against the Bears, but then in this situation didn't get called against the Packers. But it is what it is. Packers go on to win 20-19. So not the outcome I would have wanted. And I forgot to mention, again, this game was really fun to be at. And with the Devin Hester celebration, they gave out, these Devin Hester towels that everybody got to wave around. That was really cool. I'm going to be able to, I know it's a simple thing, but that's something I'm going to be able to remember forever. I'm going to be able to keep that for a long time as a keepsake. And then also while I was at the game, I got a Bears fan chain. Wore that at the game. That was really fun. But so, even though the outcome wasn't what I would have wanted, Bears fall to 4-6, pretty much out of the playoff race at this point. They're not mathematically eliminated. Theoretically, if they won out, but if they won a lot of their games, maybe get to 9-8, 10-7. Of course, that one they could only lose one more game or two more games. Again, if they were somehow able to only lose one or two more games, which would be insane. If they were able to do that, Bears technically not mathematically eliminated at this point. They could get that 7th seed, but very slim chances, obviously. And with the rest of the NFC North, Packers now at 7-3. They're currently, as I sit right now talking about this, 3rd in the division. That's how crazy. Lions, Packers, Vikings. A very tough division. Those 3 should all be in the playoffs, and a pretty strong force to be reckoned with for all 3 in the NFC. So, the Bears have had a tough test this year, and really, this was only their first division game. So, it's going to be a tough stretch for the Bears if they do want to make it in. So, that's why their chance is very slim. This outcome not what any of us would have wanted. Bears now on a 4-game losing streak, dropping their 11th straight against the Packers. Packers now have the longest running winning streak against one team in the NFL, unfortunately. So yeah, but again, this was a fun game. I appreciate you watching this. Again, throughout this, I'm going to have had clips and also photos of my experience, as well as some photos outside of the stadium that were fun. It was a really good experience. I appreciate you if you watched this far into the video. Again, don't forget to hit subscribe, like, and comment on the video. Have you ever been to an NFL game? If so, what was it? If you were ever to go to an NFL game or stadium, where would you go? Let me know all that down below, and I will see you in the next video.